This is Carson Owers from the Boston Celtics, and you're listening to the Boiler Breakdown podcast hosted by Tanner Lee, Evan Webb, and Andrew Eiler.
And yes, just like Boiler legend Carson Edwards said, you are listening or watching live on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube to the Boiler Breakdown podcast. I'm Tanner Lee, along with one of my co-hosts, like it is every time on the Boiler Breakdown, Andrew Eiler. We're missing Evan Webb tonight. He's got actual
working late,
important duties. He's working on the clock, working late tonight. So we're gonna miss him this episode, but I'm sure be back to join us next week. But Andrew, happy to have you here tonight. Yeah. It's finally game week.
Something to talk about finally.
Wow. I was thinking today, this is the first time we can discuss a Purdue game since Rutgers week.
Yeah. March. All right, football game, yeah. Or basketball, either one, yeah.
Either one, yeah. Football, it's the first time since Indiana last November. Yep. So a couple weeks late. I mean, we should be getting ready to talk about what, week 7-ish of college football season probably. But instead we're talking about week 1.
Yeah.
But
oh, well, we're here, and I'm excited for that.
Exactly. And I thought tonight, before we get into talking about the latest news on Jeff Brom, previewing the Boiler season, previewing the matchup against Iowa. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of Purdue's upset over number 2 Ohio State. It's better known as the Tyler Trent game. What do you remember about that day? Did you have any certain feeling going into the game, or just what do you remember overall?
I never felt good. I didn't feel good. Obviously, the ESPN game day, the special on Tyler Trent was pretty moving. Was obviously very, very well done and meant a lot, and was really cool to see and very well done. But then actually for the game, I don't know. I think my wife would tell me that the whole time I was watching, I was ready to waiting. I was just waiting for something.
Wait for the shoe to fall off.
Yeah, I was just waiting for it to never mind. Here we are. Never mind. They're Ohio State. We're Purdue, and
I remember having a weird feeling that morning. Of course, like you said, watching game day, it was hard not to tear up. I mean, that was just a great segment they did on Tyler. And, going into that game, I'm like, well, the whole nation is literally for Purdue tonight except Ohio State fans.
And even some of them, I think, were.
In a way, I think you're kind of right.
Yeah.
But I still knew that it was going to take our best game to beat Ohio State. But when we came out and punched them in the mouth and really controlled the game in the first half, I felt pretty good at halftime. And then we just opened things up in the second half. It was just a magical night. It was one of those nights that felt like Purdue football was back, at least for one night. It was in the national spotlight.
It was fun. Yeah, it
was fun. You're right. They were the headline of every sports program that night, and even the following day. David Blau played miraculous. Rondell Moore. I mean, everybody's gonna remember that play where just throwing him the screen on 3rd and 9, he breaks the tackle. Just burst of speed, gets away from everybody. Marcus Bailey's pick 6 to punctuate the upset, as Chris Fowler said. So, just what a great night, and it's definitely a night that I think Purdue fans will remember forever.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we have a comment here. One of our Facebook viewers said he's watching during his wedding reception. That is awesome. I would have been doing the same if that were me. So, that was just – I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to go to a lot of games in Ross-Ade, and I think this one and the Breeze Ohio State Pass are right there. I don't know which one
Did you storm the field?
Relive. No, I did not. Either time.
Why not? Loser?
I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. The only time I've stormed the field was in 2011 against Ohio State because I was in the second row of the student section.
And you got pushed on?
And I had to. It was either storm the field or get trampled. Well, that's false. I also rushed in 2009 just as a fan when we upset number 7 Ohio State. So
all Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah.
Except the Rose Bowl year when it was Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana. The only season that took 3 field rushings. Of course, they had a field rushing against Notre Dame in 97 and Michigan State in 97. So
Were you there for those, Tanner?
no. I was 5, so no. I got a couple other comments here. More is the truth. Absolutely, Bobby. Couldn't agree with you more. No pun
Excited.
intended. We'll get into the excitement of watching Rondell Moore play for one more season here in a little bit. And he also wants to know who's starting at quarterback. Well, we don't really know. Jeff Brom came out and said his decision's been made, but Purdue's not going to announce until game time on Saturday. I think we both can have a guess who it's going to be. And I guess we can get right into it. Who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback on Saturday?
I think it's Plummer.
I agree.
I think he showed enough those first few starts last year after Sindelar's injury, and he was getting better, and then unfortunately he himself got injured. But I think the Broms now, because really, like we haven't really kind of alluded to, Jeff's not going to be on the sidelines, but Brian Brom, I think they're pretty confident in either Plummer or O'Connell, so it'll be. I bet we see both of them, honestly, but I bet Plummer's the first one to take a snap.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, let's be honest. If I'm a betting man, I bet they both start at least a game this year. I mean, looking back in the last decade of Purdue football, even past the last decade, Joey Elliott started every game in 2009 and David Blau every game in 2016. Those are the only 2 seasons in the past 11 years that Purdue's had the same quarterback start every single game. So,
I guess I forgot Blau did in 16. I just would have assumed that since going back to, I don't know, Turbush, Henry, Marv, it's just been, and then Appleby, Etling, they're kind of Blau, Sindelar, just was always like one would start 3 or 4 games later, they would kind of get replaced, and then they'd flip-flop, and I guess I totally forgot. I just assumed that, Blau and Sindelar just kept flip-flopping.
Really that year in 2016, which was Darrell Hazel's last year, and we covered that last week on the podcast. Yep. And thank you for everybody that reached out with all the comments and the feedback on that episode. Is pretty entertaining. It's kind of, I guess, misery loves company, as a co-host Evan Webb always says. But if it wasn't Blau that year, it was going to be redshirt freshman Elijah Sindelar. So there was really no falling back, I guess, that year. So But like you alluded to, no Jeff Brom on the sidelines for the Boilermakers this upcoming week. He has tested positive for COVID-19. When the news broke on Sunday, I was kind of hoping for a false positive.
Yep.
But he reassured everybody in the Zoom press conference yesterday that he did indeed test positive and that he's had some symptoms. So speedy recovery and thoughts and prayers up to Jeff Brom and his family. This is just eating at him this week.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
I did read this afternoon on Golden Black that he did talk to the team today via iPad. Somebody took an iPad onto the practice field and he addressed the team today. A couple other notes. Brian Brom said he has never called plays in a game before. So this is the first. That's got me a little concerned.
Yeah. So I thought I know he was co-offensive coordinator. I know Jeff was calling plays, but
with Jamarcus Shepard. But I think when it comes to plays, Jeff Brom is the play caller every single Saturday. He's got his hands in the mix. So,
he's been used to playing football and watching his older brother for a while. So I'm sure he's not going to be too different. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Brian was a heck of a quarterback at Louisville and second-round pick by the Green Bay Packers himself. So he's not too shabby of a player. Was even in Canadian football league teammates with former Boilermaker quarterback Robert Marv for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for a little bit. They were 2 of the 3 quarterbacks on the roster up there for a little bit. But we'll see what the 35-year-old younger Brom brother can do on the sidelines. And he will be on the sidelines. He usually coaches up the press box on Saturday. So that will be an adjustment too.
I was really hoping they were going to wheel Brom out there
hazmat suit.
I know, up in the press box. I know. On the intercom yelling at
they would, but
I know.
He also said he cannot have any communication with Jeff on Saturday. I didn't know if they could maybe at halftime, but that makes sense since Jeff will be at home. I'm assuming he'll be at home.
I just imagined him having like a walkie-talkie to Brian and be like, "What the heck are you doing? Like,
exactly.
Throw it deep,
deep, and deep again." So it's gonna be interesting. He did say the first 10 plays or so are gonna be scripted. Yeah. So of course the offense
already knows
should be fine, but. I'm trying to think what offensive player they interviewed today.
I've got it up. Payne Durham.
Oh, it was Payne Durham said he wasn't worried about the coaching change for Saturday. But what else does he got to say? Yeah, I'm really worried about it and get the fan base stirred up even more. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Got the Hawkeyes coming in. talk about just consistent year in and year out. It's Iowa football.
Yep.
And Kirk Ferentz is the longest tenured
20. How long has he been there? 20 years? Is it 20?
I think he got there 99, 98 or 99, one of those
Yeah.
two. It's been a long time. I know when Bob Stoops retired, that gave Ferentz the title of longest tenured. So, who a lot of Iowa fans would like to be their next head coach whenever Ferentz does decide to hang it up.
Yeah.
Got another comment here on Facebook. Bobby says he'll be blowing up his phone with 1,000 text messages. Absolutely. I think he's I do know that Jeff said yesterday in this press conference that he is able to watch practice and take notes and everything. So they got the technology there that he can watch practice. So he's definitely still doing everything he can remotely. Just going to be a weird week. And I'm going to venture out and say he won't be the last Big Ten coach that goes through this. So.
Yeah, what is it? The excuse me, SEC, where they're having just running rampant through. There's like 5 or 6 coaches
Dan
now.
Mullen tested positive, and Florida's now postponed 2 games in a row. They had like 21 players, so that is the positive. Purdue has not had a player test positive yet, But Iowa's coming into town, like I said. Jeff Brom and company have a 2-1 record in 3 years against Iowa, and really last year's game was a 6-point game, and that was pretty good considering Purdue pretty much was fielding all freshmen on the offensive side of the ball up in the Kinnick Stadium.
When was going back to finally, since we do have a football game to talk about, what was the streak that Purdue had last year for touchdowns scored by freshmen, true
18.
freshmen? Is it still going? I can't remember who scored the last touchdown of the season.
No, it's not going. Because I do know Hopkins scored one against IU, so I feel like it was snapped before that.
I didn't know if it was still going and if we were going to see any continuation. I don't know who it would have been.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I kind of was talking with you and Evan about this off the record the other day, off the air, I guess you could say. There's no reason to redshirt anybody this year because with the new NCAA rules where everybody's kind of got a free pass of eligibility this year and can come back next fall with the same eligibility, play everybody you got.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
I think we'll see a lot of freshmen.
See a lot of freshmen on special teams, at least probably, if they get the good athletes out there and give them some experience, and then rotate guys in. It'll be.
I know they asked David Bell who he thought would be number 3 wide receiver behind Rondell and himself, and he wasn't sure. I would still think it's Milton Wright, maybe.
I would say him or Ahmad Anderson would be my guess.
About Ahmad. Yeah. I think he's going to be solid. I mean, I get so excited when I talk about Purdue's wide receiver room. I literally would put Bell and Moore up against definitely any combo in the Big Ten, but maybe in the nation. Alabama might be the only one that has a leg up on them. With
I don't know enough.
Smith, I think his last name is. They're pretty good. Not going to lie, but this is unlike a combo we've ever seen at Purdue. I mean, I know Stanford and Stubblefield statistically were the 2 best wide receivers to come through the school, and they were on the same team for 3 out of 4 years. But these two are a little different talent.
Yeah, and let's just hope they stay healthy so we can see that for the full season, the full 8 games. And
yeah, we never saw it really last year. I mean, Bell was barely on the field against Nevada, even though he scored a touchdown.
He was hurt. He was banged up. Wasn't he hurt? He was hurt most of the season.
He got hurt against TCU, which was Rondell's worst game. And then Rondell, of course, got hurt against Minnesota. But Bell kind of had his breakout party that game, and then it continued the whole year to where he was Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And, so they can't double team them both. So,
yeah.
But you got some notes on Iowa.
I put down like 4 things, so I wouldn't call that much notes.
Well, I do know they lost their quarterback, Nate Stanley.
Yep. Off to the Vikings.
Yeah.
He's on the practice squad.
He felt like he was there a decade. You know, sometimes a player rolls around in Big Ten, it feels like they're there for ages. He was definitely one of them. Their new quarterback, I didn't write it, Petrus.
Spencer Petrus.
He broke all of Jared Goff's records in high school. They went to the same high school, so he's definitely got potential. He talks a big game. He's definitely confident in his interviews. Their offensive line should be good. Corey Cronk,
always,
grad transfer from Indiana.
Is he starting? Is he starting? I know that was the initial depth chart that they had online. He wasn't, but which I thought would be kind of funny. But I bet he is. But
I bet he is too. I know they got some talented wide receivers back.
three. I think they have like 3 running backs that have all started just because of injuries at one point. So the 3 experienced running backs. I think they had a tight end last year that someone called like TJ Hawkinson 2.0, which kind of scares me.
Yeah, they have a lot of tight ends. I mean, they had Fant and Hawkinson
Yeah,
2 years ago, so they had Dallas Clark back in the day.
Yeah.
They kind of just George Kittle. I mean, they kind of just produced tight ends.
Hopefully we can cover the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's been a Purdue problem for a decade going. But we'll talk about the defense here in a little bit. But I think Iowa's definitely going to be more of an offensive team. They lost a lot on defense. AJ Epineza went to the Bills. They lost some other guys. So
one of them to Purdue.
Yes.
DJ Johnson,
who just got cleared by the Big Ten this past week. So he's ready to roll. And you got to think he's going to be pumped up to play his former team. You know, I'm sure he's been helping the scout a little bit. Bobby with a comment here. Iowa's always tough, solid D, and due to little things, always a solid running game and no line. Couldn't agree more. That's Kirk Ferentz football right there.
Yep. Hopefully Purdue's lines have improved enough they can kind of hold their ground on offense and defense.
And we are not big Iowa fans on the Boiler Breakdown podcast. We have a little text group going, and we're not very nice about them because they like to come into Indiana and steal a lot of recruits.
That's changed with Brown, though, a little bit.
Yeah. Remember that Swarm a couple years ago? Swarm.
When they were all over David Bell, and we're like, get the heck out of here.
Yeah, that's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's going to be a fun game on Saturday. We kind of mentioned defense. Let's talk about the Purdue defense side of the ball. New defense coordinator, Bob Diaco, former Iowa player, former Iowa stud, actually, was a really good player for them. Comes to Purdue from being the defense coordinator from Louisiana Tech. He also had a head coaching stop at UConn, was a defense coordinator, very, very good defense coordinator for Notre Dame for those 2 years when they made the national championship and lost to Alabama. He's had a few other stops along the way. I'm not really sure what to expect from a Bob Diaco defense.
I'm pretty excited. I just think I'm just ready for something different. I'm hoping that he's just going to be really aggressive. I think it's said from at Louisiana Tech, but totally different team, different personnel. I think it's coaching to what your personnel has. But I think what I remember was that he was just super aggressive on like third down, like first, second down, played it fairly straight up, and then was just really, really aggressive. I think on third down, that's blitzing but we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a mix of a 3-4 and 4-3 defense out of him, which is interesting because I originally, when we got him, I thought he was going to be all 3-4. But I feel like Purdue's told him to tone it down a little bit in interviews because so far he's been pretty conservative in his interviews, and at his other stops, he's kind of a character when it comes to the interviews, it seems like. But I haven't been seeing that near as much right now. But Purdue's got to get some returning talent, starting with Lorenzo Neal back on the defensive line. I know I certainly wasn't surprised that he wanted to come back and didn't want to hold out.
As far as going to the NFL or playing this year,
yeah, because I know some people thought he might hold out and just try to make the NFL, but you haven't played in so long. I mean, towards ACL in the last game of 2018 for Indiana, you sit out so long. I feel like you got to prove something on tape.
Especially with how last year it was just like, oh, maybe this is the week. No, maybe next week, and then it just never happened, and you never practiced. And
I really hope that we hear the whole truth sometime about the 2019 season. If Rondell really could have came back, if Lorenzo really could have came back, if we had a better record, would they have came back? I really hope someday we find out the truth because
you won't hear that.
I know.
Yeah, you won't hear that.
I know. I would like to, though. But Lorenzo's back on the defensive line. Of course, you got George Karlaftis now, an extra year of experience. I saw the Athletic today predicted Purdue 5th in the West, but had George as the defensive player of the year in the Big Ten.
Wow.
It's pretty high praise for a sophomore. But I do think George is going to have a really good year. I'm trying to think who else is on the defensive line. I'm kind of spacing.
Anthony Watts.
Yeah.
Then there's some young guys, Steven Fouchot, the redshirt freshman defensive tackle. Dante Hunter, Greg Hudgens, some young guys. Branson Dean, Lawrence Johnson. Yeah,
a lot of young talent. Yeah. Really produce a young team. I think they only got a handful, a single-digit amount of seniors, not too many juniors either. So a lot of freshmen and sophomore on this Purdue team. Linebacker, I'm excited about DeMarcus Mitchell.
So am I. I'm
junior
excited
college.
to see it. Everybody, they give the interviews, and I'm sure they're all going to talk him up, but they're like, oh, he's athletic, he's fast, but he's like 280 pounds. He's massive.
That's a big boy.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's a bull on the football field. You got Derek Barnes back, 2 linebacker, I believe. Did I read that right?
Yes.
So linebacker is still a position I'm a little nervous about on defense. Defensive backs, we finally got depth. They're young, but we got depth. Corey Trice, Cam Allen, DJ Johnson. The guys slip on my mind.
Geo Howard, the JUCO transfer.
And the transfer from UConn, that's who I was trying to think of.
Like Coyle.
Coyle.
Tyler Coyle, I think.
Grad transfer. Who has experience. I mean, it might be UConn, but he started 3 years, so that helps. So I'm really excited. I know everybody wants to talk about the offense side of the ball, and rightfully so, but don't sleep on the defense. I think the defense can really be the difference maker for Purdue, and probably going to have to be in a lot of games.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like just looking at what you just talked about with the offense, I mean, if Purdue's going to score 50 points, then defense doesn't have to be that good.
Yeah, if they score 50, but gotta give the quarterback time to throw the ball.
Tanner, we haven't talked ourselves into like, oh man, like Plummer's going to win the Heisman yet.
Not yet. We still got a little bit of ways to go in this podcast. That could happen. I think last year we literally had ourselves talking about. In the lower,
Elijah, wow, like 1-2 in the Heisman,
being like all Americans. So, what could have been if those two would have stayed healthy last year? I still think they could have had something special, at least from a statistical standpoint. But the offense side of the ball, of course, the big headline was Rondell Moore opting back in, which thrilled every single Purdue fan in Boilermaker country. I was kind of surprised, but kind of not. I know we hinted on that last podcast, right when I saw that Tyler Bateman was opting back in for Minnesota. I thought, maybe Rondell will too, and I'm glad he's out to prove something. Like we said, him and David Bell that's an exciting 1-2 combo to watch. It'll be interesting to see how they get creative using those two too.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, Rondell's been on kick and punt returns, which kind of scares me, but doesn't sound – so they're not going to be – they're not holding him back at all if they're putting him out there for special teams.
He wants to return, I believe. And I think Purdue has a lot of options when it comes to return game. You got Rondell Moore. You got Howard, the JUCO.
TJ Sheffield is up there. Marcellus Moore, yeah.
Yep. So a lot of options. And like we mentioned, the wide receiver room, besides just Moore and Bell, you got Anderson, you got Wright, you got Marshawn Rice, who redshirted last year. You got TJ Sheffield, who redshirted last year, who had a great camp last year and was ready to go against Penn State and then got hurt that week of practice.
Well, he was gonna like start, because that was when everybody was hurt.
Jared Sparks still got him, the 5th-year senior. Jackson Anthrop's back, but he's hurt and got surgery. Not sure if we'll see him return this year or not. I think they were thinking mid-season at the best.
And I think someone suggested running back for some reason. I don't know who that was.
I did see that.
I don't know why. Just because of depth.
He lined up a running back a couple times last year, but it was more for like flat passes. And I don't know how many carries he actually got. But then we got freshman wide receivers, Malik Carr.
I'll let you say this one, Tanner.
I was thinking Sullivan. I was going easier. Okay. I was thinking Sullivan. Because I screw this one up every time, and that's why I let Evan take that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try.
Yeah,
the 4-star from Illinois that Purdue stole from Northwestern. Yep.
I think we'll see him and Malik a lot as freshmen. Like we said earlier, why not play all freshmen? But I think we'll see those two. I'm gonna check our Twitter real quick. I know we did get some questions today. We asked some questions on Facebook and Twitter, and we got a couple here. First one is from one of the sponsors of the Boiler Breakdown, Mad Mushroom. Since we're starting our backup coach, is the game plan going to be any different than just give it to Rondell or Bell? Thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like you have to kind of force feed your stars. Not really. I don't know if you're not going to force feed them, but I think you're going to have to take their shots with them. You get your guys that kind of your bell cows, give them the chance to win you the game. But I think they'll be used a lot as decoys, because obviously Iowa knows who they are and is going to kind of focus on them, which will give a lot of the other guys, like you said, Milton Wright, Ahmad Anderson, Sparks, Cole Herdman, any of those guys. Not Cole Herdman. He's gone. Payne Durham. Yeah.
Billadell, Garrett Miller.
Billadell,
We didn't
Miller.
talk about the tight ends yet because they're all young.
Yeah.
And you're
Or the
already
running-
one in the room's a sophomore.
Or the running backs. You didn't talk about the walk-on that had 160 yards against IU in his last game last year.
Orvath, and then
Yeah.
you got Kendo Rue and maybe Tyreek Murphy Jr. Not sure how much action he'll see this year, but it's
He's
nice
a
to have
freshman.
depth there.
Like you said, he's a freshman. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, Purdue's going to have to run the ball better than they did last year. Last year was the first year they didn't run for 1,000 yards in almost 2 decades, I think. So
No, I thought I read that one of Hazel's year did that. Hazel's first year when they won one game.
2013, probably
they?
right. Yeah, they were bad in every statistical category that year. Let's be honest. We don't need to go down that road again as we did last week. But Purdue's gonna have to run the ball better. I mean, everybody knows we're a pass first team, which kind of leads me into this question we got from BoilerInTexas.com. Over under Rondell Moore targets versus Iowa 20.5.
I'm gonna say under because I don't think Purdue's gonna throw the ball 45 times. I hope they do, or I don't know. I hope they don't because that means they're just Rondell. Well, because Rondell's gonna score from like 70 yards. They're not gonna have these long drives. They're not gonna need to throw the ball that much. So I'd say under.
Purdue fans 694 did reply to that and said under, but I'd put it at 12 targets and 8 decoy plays. I kind of like that number.
Yeah.
I kind of like that number. BoilerInTexas.com responded to that and said, my guess the plan was already throw the ball 80 times.
Yeah. Do you think Brian's going to be more aggressive and just said like, all right, Jeff, this is my chance. This is my team now.
I feel like he's got to be a little aggressive or he's going to hear about it from his brother, particularly when
he's going to hear it from his brother anyway.
You're right. But you look at the Purdue-Iowa games the last few years, Purdue's had success going up over the top with the deep ball against Iowa. So you got to think they're going to take some chances.
Yeah, but Iowa knows that too. So I think you got to go the other way a little bit.
Yeah.
There's going to be, like they said, decoy. Rondell and David Bell are just going to go deep, and then they're going to hit Ahmad Anderson underneath, and he's going to break something. I don't know.
Or TJ Sheffield or
Marcellus Moore. Just hand the ball to Marcellus Moore and let him run.
And BoilerInTexas.com responded to that one. This is where I think it gets interesting. It's almost a win-win whether they give it to him or not.
Yeah.
So,
we never even got to see that last year because, I mean, like, right when Rondell got hurt, Bell hadn't even really come on at all yet. So
no. I mean,
who knows?
I mean, the only game I really remember them both seeing the field quite a bit was TCU, which they shut Rondell down, and then David got hurt towards the end of the game with separated shoulder. So, but
I just hope the offensive line keeps improving and can give whoever the quarterback is time.
And Brian Brom spoke, and he said he feels really good about the line play today. Of course, you got Grant Herman's leading the way, who calls this season a blessing. He didn't think he was going to get a senior season. A lot of depth. I think the line goes 10 deep if needed to. I just don't know how much experience there is on the line.
I don't think there's a whole lot outside of Herman's.
Starting transfer from UTEP.
Yes, but I think he's been hurt a lot the last couple of years. So, I mean, I think he played a couple of years ago, and then I think has mostly been hurt kind of off and on the last couple of seasons. Hasn't gotten a whole lot of experience, but yeah, like I said, more depth, more talent.
It does sound like Gus Hartwig's going to see some action.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I honestly can't think of the line left to right in my head right now without looking it up.
So there's a redshirt freshman that I know a lot about that they keep talking about, Cam Craig, who I think played toward the end of the season.
He did.
Sam Garvin was the walk-on center that took over last year when Victor Beach.
Yeah, Victor's still hurt, I believe.
I think he retired. I think he's got back problems. I don't think he's on the team anymore. Okay. I thought I'd heard that. I wasn't positive.
I do know he had back problems, and now that you mention it, I do remember reading something, but I couldn't remember he retired or it's taken like not a medical red shirt, but some other term.
Like a gray shirt or something like that, or blue shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I'm blanking on the right side. The guard and tackle long, I think is up there. Yeah.
I think for all the weapons Purdue has on offense, that's the big key. Can they give Jack Plummer, Aiden O'Connell, or Austin Burton, whoever's quarterback, enough time to get the ball off and let your playmakers make plays? So.
And can the running backs, like you said, can they run the ball somewhat just to make it an option, make the defense have to kind of think about it?
Keep them honest.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the defense honest. So, but I did just mention Mad Mushroom, and of course they are one of the sponsors of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, and they got a deal for any Boiler Breakdown listener. The Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by Mad Mushroom, serving Boilermakers since 1993. Mad Mushroom is located in the heart of West Lafayette and is well known as the home of the original cheese sticks. Whenever I visit, I like to sit down and have an ice-cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month. Next time you're in town, stop in and tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order over $20. And also, any Boiler Breakdown listener can use the coupon code BREAK5, that's in all capitals, capital BREAK 5, to claim their discount online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head. And we are thrilled to have them on board for season 2 of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, which I've been saying the last few episodes, season 2, but this really does feel like the kickoff of season 2 since it's game week. So, but some other Big Ten games going on this weekend. Did you want to pick some games real quick?
I know nothing outside of the Purdue teams.
That's good. That makes for a fun prediction.
There you go, yeah.
Well, we got the Friday night game. You got the Illinois Fighting Illini.
That's an easy one, though.
It's Lovie Smith, year 5 of the Lovie Smith era up in Illinois. They're traveling to Camp Randall to face Wisconsin. You remember Illinois beat Wisconsin last year. It was definitely the upset of the year in the Big Ten.
And then Wisconsin's quarterback is hurt, correct?
Jack Cohn is hurt. So Graham Mertz, redshirt freshman, he was an Army All-American 2 years ago. He is under center for the Badgers, about to the Buckeyes for the Badgers. Number 14, Wisconsin is a 20-point favorite. Who are you taking Friday night?
Wisconsin and the points. I mean, they're just gonna run all over Illinois. It doesn't matter who's a quarterback.
I think Wisconsin gonna come out for blood. Like you said, they lost Jonathan Taylor to the Colts, of course, but how many times has Wisconsin lost a running back to the pros and then just insert? It's like they just put a new jersey on a guy and he fills in, and new lineman, and it's just a rotation. It's a factory.
Yep.
Scott Frost entering year 3 in Cornhusker land.
Tanner's favorite.
They bitched and moaned and.
Hey, they saved the Big Ten season.
They saved the Big Ten season according to their fan base. They would play anybody anywhere. So the Big Ten's like, okay, we're going to test you week 1. They're going to the horseshoe to play number 5 Ohio State. Ohio State's a 26-point favorite.
I mean, Ohio State, and I think they cover. I could see them laying off in the second half, but I don't think so because it's Nebraska and Scott Frost talks too much.
Prediction: Nebraska gets up 17-7. Their fan base is just going ecstatic on Twitter. Then Ohio State scores 42 unanswered points and wins 49-17. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, poor Nebraska. They go Ohio State, then Wisconsin, Northwestern, Penn State. I don't feel bad for them, but Ohio State should be really, really good this year, led by Justin Fields, who should be probably the best quarterback in the Big Ten. So they're pretty loaded. In Nebraska, it's hard telling. Adrian Martinez is returning as quarterback.
Yeah.
We'll have a short leash with McCaffrey behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what Wandale Robinson does in the second year. Let's see. What other matchups do we have? This is a fun one. Rutgers at Michigan State.
I don't have a line on this one.
I don't either.
Show a line. I don't know. Maybe nobody cares. Nobody cares. So nobody's betting on it. So nobody's picking Rutgers.
The second era of Greg Schiano, who went 68 and 67 from 01 to 2011 with Rutgers, and first year head coach for the Spartans, Mel Tucker. He stayed 1 year at Colorado and left for big money. Big money. I think he's a top 15 paid coach in America now. So I'm taking Sparty, but in a close one. I don't think either of these teams is going to be very good this year.
No, I don't either. I think Michigan State, and honestly, I have no idea. But
to beat Michigan State, you got to make Rocky Lombardi throw deep against you. If he can do that and they can beat you, well, so be it. But number 8, Penn State at Indiana. Penn State's a 6.5-point favorite.
I mean, Penn State, I buy 2 touchdowns. I don't think it's going to be that close.
I will say Penn State lost their starting running back.
I saw that.
Today.
I don't think it's going to matter, though. It's going to be – they're like Wisconsin. They've got so much talent. The next guy up is probably another high-star recruit.
Interested to see how Sean Clifford does this year with another year experience under his belt. I will say I think Indiana has a really good offense.
Mm-hmm.
They got Penix back, Stevie Scott's back, Wap's back. They got a good line. And they return a lot on defense from a defense that ranked in the top 50 in every statistical category. But I think you're right. I still don't think they're ready to take that jump and beat one of the big boys yet. I think Penn State gets it done and covers. The game day, college game day, is on site in Minnesota this week for number 18 Michigan at number 21 Minnesota. Michigan's a 3-point favorite. It's a coin.
Picking Minnesota. I don't want to pick Fleck, but I hate Jim Harbaugh almost as much as I hate PJ Fleck. So
okay, so where's your ranking between Harbaugh, Frost, and Fleck?
I think Fleck is number 1 for me, and then probably I don't know. I don't like Frost, but I'd say Harbaugh's number 2. Just I don't think I can ever give up how much he complained and bitched about the Purdue locker rooms, and
he is a baby.
Yeah.
Those are my top 3, but I think I agree with you with Fleck 1. He's a better coach than Frost, but I can tolerate Frost a little more than I can PJ. And PJ's stick is working for him, but I still just can't stand the guy. But Frost is 2 for me, then Harbaugh's 3. So,
to be honest, why don't you like Scott Frost? What has he specifically done? I thought it was more that just everybody he got so much love from and hype that they're like, oh, Scott Frost is the savior. Nebraska is going to win the national championship.
Not so much that. I mean, the 3 Nebraska fans I personally know are all really smart, nice fans, but it's the Twitter ones that are awful, like any fan base. Yeah. But Scott, he just makes so many excuses. I mean, you remember that hoodie comment?
Yeah.
Last year, and like back in my day, we didn't wear hoodies out practicing, things like that. It's like nobody cares. You were a backup quarterback in the 90s for a really good team, and you were backup. And even though I hate Indiana, the comment he made about wanting to play Indiana every year, Indiana beats them. I mean, goes in there and beats them. It's like, dude, you talk a lot of trash. You can't back up nothing. And look, Heupel's having almost just as much success as he did in Central Florida. So you got starting to think, was that really all Scott Frost? Or is it just kind of the culture there? So I don't know. He just rubs me the wrong way. But I'm going Michigan in a close one Saturday night. I don't want to give Boat Boy a win right away. So, Maryland at Northwestern. Northwestern's 11-point favorites.
Was Maryland that bad? Like,
they got talent. Josh Jackson back at quarterback, but they lost both their running backs who totaled over 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns.
I mean, it seems like a decade ago when the last time we had Big Ten football, even though it was only like 15 months. But like,
I know it.
Didn't Northwestern's offense last year was like historically bad.
Their defense was like a top 15 defense, but their offense averaged 18 points per game.
So that's what I mean. Like, they're favored by 11 points.
They had quarterback issues. They had a lot of injuries last year. They do have Ramsey now, who I believe he's going to start over Hunter Johnson.
I thought, I was going to say they had the quarterback from Indiana who transferred from Clemson. Well, then there was the IU quarterback. I forgot that he was there.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Hunter Johnson.
Yep, I think he's going to start. I thought Hunter until I read that today. They think Ramsey's going to start. So, I think Fitzy's boys bounce back this year in year 15, which is hard to believe. He's been there 15 years. I don't think they'll be great, but I think they'll be better than they were last year.
I mean, they have to be. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're going to get better. I agree.
Yeah, 3-9 last year equivalates to like 1-7 this year. So.
I'm going to take Northwestern, but I think it's a closer game because I don't think either team scores like 20 points.
I agree with it. I like that. I like that. Purdue, Iowa. I got the line at Iowa 3.5. It fell a point. Yesterday it was 4.5.
Mine says 3, I think. I saw 3.5 as well. I think it opened at 2.5. Is that right?
Yes, it did.
No, I can't get back to it, but I think I saw it was 3. I have to pick Purdue. I think the Brahms just own Ferentz. David Bell, Rondell Moore are going to give him nightmares again. And,
love it. I mean, this is a Purdue podcast. First game of the year. We're pumped up for game week. How can we not pick Purdue?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
everybody said Purdue's going to score 50. So
I think it's going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do have low concerns going in with a coach that's never called plays before, but. I don't know. Maybe they'll go out and maybe they rally around for Jeff. So
I mean, how long has Brian been coaching with Jeff? I mean, was he with him at Western Kentucky?
I feel like he was the last year or two, maybe. Yeah.
So I mean,
finishing up his CFL career.
Plus, I was a little surprised. So Diaco has head coaching experience. I was kind of surprised they didn't make him head coach. Other than that, Brahm is pretty.
He wants offensive mind, I think. There, I was kind of surprised it wasn't Shepard, to be honest.
Why? Why over?
I just figured he let Brian call the plays and let Shep kind of. I don't know. That's a good question because he has no experience either. I don't know why I thought that, but he just feels like more of a coach type to me.
I saw that online that people were like, "Oh, maybe Shepard," or they'd pick Shepard over Brian. I was like, I'd probably pick Brian over anybody because he's so close to Jeff. And I mean, I was thinking it might be Diaco or somebody who has head coaching experience. The special teams guy, Biaggi, didn't he coach? He was a head coach somewhere in Texas, I thought.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought him up because we didn't even talk about special teams, really. I mean, you got Dellinger coming off a really good year last year. You got Collins coming off in Collins and
Cormier,
Brooks Cormier, both punted a little bit. So you got all of your specialists returning. Their goal is to have some big plays on the return game. Purdue has not returned a kick for a touchdown since 2013, hasn't returned a punt since 2009. So they're very due to take one to the house.
Are we going to see any fakes like circa Tony Levine?
Yeah, I think we'll see a bunch of fakes and trickery and a bunch of fun this year. I mean, it's a 9-game season. I'm guaranteed 9 games, and when it comes to special teams, there's going to be a lot of cold weather games. That ball's not going to go as far off the tee. There's not going to be as many touchbacks as we're used to. So a lot more return opportunities. So I do think we'll take at least one to the house this year. I don't know if it's a punt or a kickoff, but
we've been saying that for 8 years, Tanner.
I know it. Before we get into some other quick predictions as we're getting close to wrap this up, I've got to mention another sponsor of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, and that's Webb's Family Pharmacy. They are Boilermaker owned and an independently owned community pharmacy with stores located in Rochester, Akron, and in North Manchester, Indiana. Webb's is happy to announce that they are providing flu shots by appointment right in your car. Simply call to set an appointment, and their friendly and caring staff will be happy to help you. For all of your high-quality medical equipment, supplies, and pharmacy services, check out www.webrx.com or give them a call. Webb's Family Pharmacy, the professional pharmacy with the hometown touch. And we're happy to have them on board. Always happy to have a boiler-owned company on board. So I always like to do, some over-under different guesses. I don't have any written down, so these are just off the top of my head. Will Xander Horvath be the leading rusher on Purdue?
For the season or for game 1?
For the season.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's King Doru.
I agree with you there. Who leads Purdue in rushing touchdowns?
I bet Horvath does.
Horvath. I'm going to go Doru. So I'm going with Doru for yardage and in touchdowns. Who leads Purdue in receptions this year?
David Bell.
Oh, not going Rondell Moore, huh?
I think Moore is going to lead in yards. I think Bell's going to get more catches.
Okay.
So I think Moore is going to take so much attention. He's going to have the bigger plays. But I think David Bell is going to be the consistent guy.
I will go Rondell in both, but I don't think it's by a long shot. I think we'll see even a lot of little shuffle passes to Rondell, like the little 1 yard, and if he drops his incomplete
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, those type of plays. Who do you think leads Purdue in touchdowns? Rondell. There I will go David Bell. I'm just going to switch it up. And the good question, a better question probably, who's third in all these categories? That's kind of the
no clue. I mean, there's so many options, and I bet that'll be a hodgepodge because they'll just rotate in so many guys. I bet behind those two. I'd pay Ahmad Anderson would be my guess, but
does Jack Plummer start every game for Purdue this year? Mm-mm. Does he lead Purdue in passing yardage and touchdowns though?
Yes.
Okay. I can get on board with that. You're probably right.
Well, who between O'Connell and Burton, who gets the UCLA transfer quarterback?
I think
O'Connell gets more play
than
Burton.
So? Mm-hmm. I could see us if about Burton's skill set. I think we could see certain packages with them, but I think, like you said, I think O'Connell has a better chance to start a game than Burton. I'm trying to think here. Who leads the team in sacks?
Big George.
Yeah. I think so too, even though I think he's going to draw a lot of double teams.
But Lorenzo Neal's going to help with that as well, right there. Plus, if they're in a 3-4 and Mitchell's on the other end,
very true.
I mean, he's going to take a lot of attention too.
Who leads the team in interceptions?
Corey Trice.
I'm going to go Cam Allen. I'm going to go safety. I'm going to go Cam Allen there, but either of them's really good guess. And how about leader in tackles?
There's a Thieneman on the team, isn't there?
There is. Yep.
I know.
That's always a good guess.
I know. I'm going to go Derek Barnes.
That's a good one. I haven't even seen the guy play down, but I'm going to Marcus Mitchell. I'm all about the hype train right now. So, what is your overall record prediction for Purdue?
I think they win 5.
5-3.
Yes, I think so. I think they win 5. I mean, I think they got the easier crossover games with Rutgers, IU. So you gotta get those 2, and then 500 in conference.
So I'm guessing you have them slipping up at Minnesota and at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the other one?
I hadn't thought that far. I just figured there's going to be one in there. They're probably going to steal. They're going to lose one they shouldn't. They're going to steal one.
Right. You're thinking more logical, but I'm going 6-2 because
I'm thinking just Minnesota and Iowa.
I'm going Minnesota. But if there is a year to break the Wisconsin streak, it's this year up at Camp Randall with no fans. But it's just a tough matchup for Purdue, and I just don't like the Friday night under the lights late November game against Minnesota. That does not bring back good memories of a wintry cold game 2 years ago up there. But
I could see that. I could talk myself into 6 wins, Tanner.
I know I could talk myself into 8 if I really wanted to. But Steve Dodson watching on Facebook here says Boilers by 6. I'm assuming he's talking about Saturday's game. Yeah. Sign me up. I'll take it right now. I'll take Boilers by 1. Just want to get off to a good start. Any win's good with me. It's going to be a weird year. There'll be Boiler families in the stands and maybe some staff. But besides that, Ross Sade will not see a fan unless things change somehow. But so a lot of fans won't be going to games for the first time in a long time, but there'll be Purdue fans all over the country and all over the world watching. So go home and have some tailgate parties, order some Mad Mush, some cheese sticks.
Some socially distant tailgate parties, Tanner.
Exactly. I knew you were good for that. I knew somebody would chime in, and it was you. There's no Evan here. So
yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to having some of those myself. Still excited. I mean, Purdue sports is one of my passions in life, particularly men's basketball and football. So very excited that it's finally here. We have something to look forward to. Before we wrap up the show, I got to do our one more sponsor read, and that is our returning sponsor of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, Strofe Landscaping Nurseries. Strofe Landscaping has been in business for over 50 years. It can handle all of your landscaping needs, including landscape design, maintenance, irrigation, hardscaping, fall cleanup, and their licensed lawn applicators. You can contact them today for all of your landscaping needs at 574-223-2769. Strofe Landscaping, design with you in mind. And we're happy to have them on board again for this season of the Boiler Breakdown podcast. Any final thoughts, Andrew? Football related, basketball related, anything going into this weekend?
Oh, Purdue started practice this week, basketball.
They did.
After a delay.
Yeah, it was nice. They actually only missed a day. Mm-hmm. So we thought they were going to be actually starting tomorrow, a week late. So it was nice to get those guys in the gym and going. I
think you were the one who sent out about the freshman center, how he measured at like 7'4.5" with like a
shoes on with 78-inch wingspan, which to put that in perspective,
what was Haas?
Haas was 75 or 76, and Anthony Davis is like 76 of the Lakers. So that is a big boy. 285. 7'4", 285. And it doesn't sound like Zach Edey is going to be redshirting. It sounds like he is going to be the backup center behind Travion Williams, who has grown an inch up to 6'10". He's listed 6'10", instead of 6'9", now 265. So there was a few other players that grew an inch, but Mason Gillis somehow shrank an inch, according to the measurements, 6'7" to 6'6" now. So,
oh, boy.
Shortest guy on the roster that will play meaningful minutes, Isaiah Thompson at 6'1". So for a shortest guy, that's not too bad. But, we'll have a lot more basketball talk as we get closer to the season. We still don't even know what the schedule looks like. We're like 6 weeks away, and we don't even know what the schedule looks like. Besides that, we're starting against Liberty in the tournament that has, I think it is, Clemson and –
Clemson's the only one I could name, yeah.
Well, it was supposed to be Illinois State. They backed out. Clemson and somebody else. I'm just blanking.
Clemson was the only one I could name.
Yeah, but we'll have more talk. But we don't know about the Crossroads. We don't know about the Big Ten schedule as far as dates and times or anything. But just glad Boiler football's back. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. Make sure to tune in. We'll be back next week, hopefully recapping a win and previewing the first road game of the year, which is over in Champaign against the Illinois Fighting Illini. But for Andrew Eiler, I'm Tanner Lee. And like always, boiler up, hammer down, beat the Hawkeyes.